This is BMAC here with special guest Bob Ryan, longtime sports journalist, author, and writer. Bob, how's it going, man?
Doing fine, thank you.
Thank you, Bob. So give me a little bit of background. So where were you born in New Jersey? Give me a little background. How is it you became to have a passion for sports in general?
I was born in Trenton, New Jersey, state capital.
Yeah.
And it is a sports-minded town. But in my case, it's very simple. My father was involved in sports. My father made a living in sports. Sometimes he worked in baseball. Another time, when I was 7 to 9, he was the assistant athletic director at Villanova, which got me introduced into big-time college sports. And I always say, and this is not hyperbole, this is the gospel truth. I cannot remember a time in my formative years, in my early years growing up, when we weren't at a game, going to a game, or getting ready to go to a game. That is how we lived. And so when people rhapsodize about their first major league game, I went with my grandfather, I went with my father, and I saw the green grass, and I got all excited, and blah, blah, blah. I have no recollection of my first game because that's all we ever did. And I was, used to going to Connie Mack Stadium, well, Shibe Park and then Connie Mack Stadium. I was used to going to the Polo Grounds, not Yankee Stadium because we were National League people, but he had connections with both the Phillies and the Giants. And so that's the way we lived. And concurrent with that is that I was a reader. Yeah. And I lived a normal kid's life. I lived in a great neighborhood with lots of kids, and we played ball. We played all the kids' games. We did everything. I had a normal childhood in that regard. But my little difference with everyone else was I was a reader. And I was the only kid on the block who knew the infield fly rule. I can tell you that. So sports have been in my blood. It's in the DNA. I was programmed. I was put on this earth to get involved in sports.
That's so great. So let me ask you, which player from the Celtics do you think hated you the most? When you covered the Celtics, who do you think out of all the players you think didn't like your coverage? I mean, I know a lot of players love you in general, but which player do you think didn't like you? I know Heinz didn't for a long time.
No, well, Tommy and I had our falling out, but then we had a rapprochement, and we were friends for the last 40 years of his life. I guess you'd say Sidney Wicks.
Sidney Wicks.
And there's a funny story there. Yeah, he was terrible with the Celtics. He wouldn't do anything Heinsohn wanted. The fans hated him because he was a lazy player. And but the funny story is this: the year in 1970, I guess it would be 79. First, we're in San Diego, and the Celtics are playing the Clippers. And after the game, I go in the locker room, and I'm talking to Randy Smith, who I had known from Buffalo. And Sidney starts in, "There's going to be a murder in here. Going to be a murder in here." He was talking about me. And so I went up to talking to Sidney, "What's going on?" And he said, "You ran me out of town." And I said, "If I thought I had the power, I would have done it sooner." The first and only time I ever had the right rejoinder, and usually we think about the right thing to say 5 minutes later, or maybe in the middle of the night. But that's one time I did rise to the occasion. I'm proud of myself.
Nice. So why did you retire from the Globe? Many years, you said you retired from the Globe a couple of years ago. When did you retire from writing for the Globe?
I retired. My last official act for the Boston Globe was hitting the send button on the gold medal basketball game in London in 2012. Now, I officially retired with that. However, they were gracious enough to offer me to come back and write every week on Sundays, which I did, and now it's been back. I'm writing every other Sunday, and that's what I do. And in terms of writing, so I still keep my hand in it.
Yeah. Now, were there any writers at the Globe that didn't like you? Like, did Barnacle like you? Like, was Barnacle a fan of yours?
Oh yeah, I'm very friendly with Mike, and no, to my knowledge, no. No issues to my knowledge, and friendly. I love working here. I never had I don't remember a crossword with anybody for any reason.
No. Now, let me ask you this question about Havlicek. Was Havlicek good to you when you were covering the Celtics too?
Could not have been better. Honestly, I was so lucky in every way. Number one, I was lucky just to go to the Globe at the time in history when the Globe was about ready, was really flexing its muscles journalistically in every which way. And we were building a tremendous sports department. and I was in really we were in a big transition period, and I was fortunate enough to walk into that. Number one. Then I get to cover the Celtics when I'm 23 years old, and that's another story. And the veterans were John Havlicek, Sat Sanders, Don Nelson, those three particularly.
Yep.
And they took me under their wing. They helped me learn the NBA. Nelson played one-on-one with me. Havlicek, I got friendly with enough that I wound up doing his book. And Sats is still, somebody I'm comfortable with to this day. John couldn't have been better. And I'll say this about John Havlicek.
Yeah.
I did say that at the time. He was as gracious with a high school kid, with a tape recorder, as he was with I used to say nationally syndicated columnist, because we used to have such a thing. They don't exist anymore. But he was gracious with everybody. He was an absolute gentleman, and not to mention that, for a certain period of time was absolutely the best player in the league.
Do you remember you used to do a Lauren Wally years ago with the Bob Brown Report on WROR many years ago on the radio?
Well, I did it for a mere 36 years, if that's what you're alluding to.
Yes. Yes.
From 1983 until 2019, when they, went off the air together. And that was a part of my life on every Thursday morning.
Yep.
And I valued it. It was fun.
Yep.
It was another audience. It was another reach for me. And those guys are great people. And I just loved it. I always loved it.
I was gonna say, what made you stop doing it? Because I know there was a period of time I didn't hear you for a while. On that show.
Because they went off the air. Wally retired, and then Lauren was in an upheaval at the station, and he retired. I don't think happily, frankly, from what I know, but I don't know for sure. But that's what I surmised.
Yeah.
But WROR, they wanted, and as I like to say in broadcast, they went in another direction.
Another direction.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah. They wanted better opportunities, kind of, right? Better opportunities, sort of, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So.
Well, thank you, Bob.
That was.
Yes.
Oh, you're welcome. That was a fun part of my life, a nice little adjunct.
Yeah. Well, Bob, thanks for coming on the podcast. It's been a great time for the podcast, Bob. Thanks for being a guest on my show today, and hope we do this again soon.
Anytime, I'm available. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, Bob.